Over the past 20 years, there have been many attempts to try to change or de-age an actor's face. All of the attempts had varying degrees of complexity and success. But recently, it's gotten really good. It's gotten to the point now where anyone could do a face replacement live on their own computers. But before we get into that, let's go back to X-Men 2006. This was one of the first times that face replacement was done for a feature-length movie. They needed to get Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart to look younger. But they didn't have the 3D technology nor the AI technology that we have today. The way the movie ended up de-aging the actors was by a technique called digital skin grafting. Essentially, editors had a library of skin elements that they selected and tracked onto the actors. Importantly, they had to do all of this manually. Not only did they remove the wrinkles that you get as you get older, they also scaled down the nose and the ears, since those body parts continually grow as you get older. And for a movie that's 20 years old, this honestly doesn't look that bad. If you compare how the actors look like in the movie to their younger selves, it's okay. But I'd be lying if I said this was perfect. It's obviously still lacking. The actors look smooth in some areas and like plastic in others. And that's where Gemini Man came in. In Gemini Man, Will Smith's younger character is fully 3D.
In Gemini Man, they didn't use any sort of generative technology. It was very early days for them to be able to do that. So instead, they filmed Will Smith on set, and then they filmed him in a mocap studio as well. And then they placed a digital character, so a full 3D model. They composited that into the real life footage, and that, to me, looked a lot more realistic because it was just an incredibly high quality model. But the issue with that was they basically had to film everything twice. They had to do the first take live action with Will Smith there, and then do it in the mocap studio, and then composite it as well, and just ridiculously expensive.
Gemini Man fixed a lot of issues with the patching method. I mean, this was leagues ahead of it. They simulated nearly everything you can. They simulated the wrinkles, the pores, and even the blood flow, which fixed the issue from X-Men, where the faces looked sometimes flat and almost like plastic. Whereas animators on Gemini Man had controls for nearly everything. And that's what made the movie so real and lifelike. You probably haven't even noticed that the older version of Will Smith is sometimes CG. Though there is one issue with this method. There's still a lot of manual work. You have to do a lot of motion capture, and you have to fix and adjust that motion capture. You also have to create a true-to-life 3D model, and that also takes a ton of time to get right. And it's probably because of all that work that we've evolved into deepfakes. All deepfakes are is a computer learning a face so well that it can apply that face to another face with similar lighting and acting. Now, when deepfakes were first being used, they were slow and took a lot of time to train. But the important thing is that all that work was being done by the computer. Deepfakes also helped filmmakers do shots that were complex or hard to do before. For example, twin shots, like in the movie Sinners. Michael B. Jordan sometimes needed to choke his twin, and the way they did that was by having a stunt double be that twin and deepfaking Michael B. Jordan's face onto that stunt double. They probably should have had a stunt double for Robert De Niro in The Irishman. In The Irishman, Robert De Niro is supposed to play a younger version of himself, but some shots just fall flat because he can't do all the actions like his younger self might. That's where I think a stunt double might have helped. But in general, deepfakes were a great advancement, especially now, where you're able to have the face replacement done in real time, so you know what might be wrong in the editing process. This was used a lot for the movie here, where Tom Hanks plays a younger version of himself. The important thing here is that the director wasn't seeing the final shot. It was a lower resolution shot that gave the director an idea of what the final shot might look like. The real shot would have much more training data, a higher output resolution, and would probably need some adjustments. Looking at this movie, it does a lot right, but there are still some pitfalls. Sometimes it just falls into the uncanny valley where you can just tell something's off, but you don't know what it is. But maybe that's a good thing because this technology is scary, and it's scary to think about somebody using your face on a video call. The application I installed had a drop-down with a bunch of actors already baked in. Thankfully, the less training data that the application has, the worse the deepfakes are. And you can tell, especially when somebody looks to the side or any angle that the training data doesn't have. Obviously, for the movie here, there was plenty of training data from Tom Hanks's earlier movies. And for the most part, the movie looks great, especially when the actors are further away from the camera to the point where you can't really see that many details. It's just when they're close up that you get into that uncanny valley.
Really just gives it away to me is that the faces just look very, very smooth and a bit too pristine. For example, you look just at my webcam, I've got like a little thing in my skin there. There's different sort of pigments. In here, his skin is kind of too uniform. It doesn't have like the blood vessels underneath your skin impacting it, if that makes sense.
But even with the uncanny valley, if you compare here to X-Men 2006, you can see a vast improvement, and not just in terms of looks, but also in terms of work, going from a lot of manual work to not that much at all. There's still a lot of work that needs to be done, but it just took out a lot of that grunt work. And that's one of the reasons that people find this technology scary, especially now with AIs like Sora and Veo. By the way, I didn't cover those AIs because all you need is a prompt, and I honestly didn't really want to. I still enjoy the effort that's being put into these movies. Even in the movie here, they used AI, yes, but there was still a lot of work behind the scenes to get the technology to actually work. But I do want to hear what you guys think. I do want to say a big thank you to Callum for helping me out with this video, but with that being said, thank you guys for watching, and bye.